Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Thursday, the 26th of August. We continue with McShane's readings and are reading 1 Samuel chapter 18 today. In chapter 17, we saw how David kills Goliath. At that point, David was a part-time court musician, had gone to the battle scene to bring supplies to his brothers, and had stepped up to the plate, taken on Goliath despite the odds being totally stacked against him. But he had God on his side, and therefore he won. And so Saul gets to find out more about him. Chapter 18 begins, after David had finished talking with Saul, Jonathan became one in spirit with David, and he loved him as himself. And so David was in a good position. He'd had this wonderful victory. The king's son is now on his side, united with him, and everything is going well. Indeed, they start heading back into the cities, and we're told when the men were returning home after David had killed the Philistine, the women came out from all the towns of Israel to meet King Saul with singing and dancing, with joyful songs and with tambourines and lutes. As they danced, they sang, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands. And so everything is going really well for David. However, Saul was very angry. This refrain galled him. They've credited David with tens of thousands, he thought, but me with only thousands. What more can he get but the kingdom? And from that time on, Saul kept a jealous eye on David. And as I read that, I thought, that is so often true to life. It's seldomly that we have unmitigated joys and celebrations. There's so often something niggling. And it's what the devil does. The devil is there to spoil and to destroy and to mess up. And so when there are blessings and things are going well, inevitably the devil will come and try and put a spanner in the works and stop the process. And we know that from this point on, David's life was a little bit tenuous. And he had to be very careful about what he did and said and how he went about things. But despite that, God was on his side, and therefore he was able to overcome. And so as we go through life and things are going well, all of a sudden we're blindsided and there's some disaster comes into the scene. Let's not be too surprised by it. Let's also not be thrown off course by it. Let's keep our eyes fixed on God, as David did, and keep trusting in God, as David did. And know that those, the dark clouds that are part of the silver linings that we experience so often, God is still with us in that, as he was with David. And we shouldn't be surprised by it, but we can be encouraged to keep our eyes on God, to keep going, to keep trusting, to keep serving, as David did. And in the same way that David was blessed, God will use us and bless us as well. Be encouraged and know his blessing.